Our reading today is from Psalm 22. My God, why have you forsaken me? Why are you so far from saving me? So far from my cries of anguish? My God, I cry out by day, but you do not answer. By night, but I find no rest. Yet you are enthroned as the Holy One. You are the one Israel praises. In you our ancestors put their trust. They trusted, and you delivered them. To you they cried out and were saved. In you they trusted and were not put to shame. But I am a worm and not a man, scorned by everyone, despised by the people. All who see me mock me. They hurl insults, shaking their heads. He trusts in the Lord, they say. Let the Lord rescue him. Let him deliver him, since he delights in him. Yet you brought me out of the womb. You made me trust in you, even at my mother's breast. From birth I was cast on you. From my mother's womb you have been my God. Do not be far from me, for trouble is near, and there is no one to help. Many bulls surround me. Strong bulls of Bashan encircle me. Roaring lions that tear their prey open their mouths wide against me. I am poured out like water, and all my bones are out of joint. My heart has turned to wax. It has melted within me. My mouth is dried up like a potsherd, and my tongue sticks to the roof of my mouth. You lay me in the dust of death. Dogs surround me. A pack of villains encircles me. They pierce my hands and my feet. All my bones are on display. People stare and gloat over me. They divide my clothes among them and cast lots for my garment. But you, Lord, do not be far from me. You are my strength. Come quickly to help me. Deliver me from the sword, my precious life from the power of the dogs. Rescue me from the mouth of the lions. Save me from the horns of the wild oxen.
My God, why? That's how it starts, isn't it? And that's why we're looking at this psalm today. My God, why have you forsaken me? That's Psalm 22. It's a psalm of lament, the most common type of psalm in the Bible. Because life is incredibly painful. So often. I met a young guy this week who's lost his mum, aged 52. He didn't say what she died of, but he did say to me, we prayed and none of our prayers were answered. And that's what he was carrying. Now what? The Bible's answer is lament. Not a word we use that often. You sometimes hear sports commentators talking about a lamentable performance. So you might have two friends lamenting at the cost of living. And both of those are true uses of that word, but it's kind of bigger and deeper than that. It's about agony and anguish and heartache and heartbreak. It's about anger and questions and doubts and wrestling and agony. And it's about pouring it all out, getting it out of your system, doing something with it, expressing it instead of trying to hold it inside. And the Psalms encourage us to do all of that towards and with God, to lament with God, to be totally honest with him and let it all out, with all the questions, all of the anger, all of the pain, all of the doubt, all of the rawness, wrestling with God with all that we are and all that we're feeling. And actually wrestling is a good picture of what we have in Psalm 22. It's a back and forth. It's one corner to the other corner. So verse 1 of Psalm 22 is, my God, why have you forsaken me? That's how he's feeling. Verse 2, my God, I cry out to you by day, but you do not answer. By night, and I find no rest. But then in the middle of pain, in the middle of feeling utterly God-forsaken, he says, verse 3, well, you are the one enthroned. You are the one who can do something. You're the one that actually all the people around me are praising as we've been doing today. I don't know whether that jarred for you today. It would have done for some of us, I'm assuming, as we were singing about the goodness of God. But that's the example of this psalm, is the wrestle of, hang on a minute, this is what I'm going through, this is what I'm feeling, and yet I hear people around me telling me that you're good. How does that work? How does that go together? How can you still be in charge? I don't understand. You've delivered people in the past, he says. Why not me? Why not now? Why not help? And you get this wrestle. 3 times in the psalm he cries out, and 3 times he remembers God and has a yet you. Back and forth, he wrestles with God, how he's feeling, what he's going through. That's lament. When the fire happened, I was expecting more people to be angry with God, to have really deep and profound why questions with God. Why did he let it happen? Instead, they blame the council, and rightly so. But I think that's a collective loss of focus on what this claims about God. Namely, that he is this God who is enthroned, who can make a difference, who does make a difference. That he could have somehow overruled all the failures of the council. He could have somehow done something to stop the fire, or made sure everyone was out when the fire took. But he didn't do that. And that's part of the agony of that. People died crying out to God to rescue them, and their prayers were not answered. Lament is the Bible's example of what we do with the feelings that we have about that. We should bring them all to God with all of the rawness, the Bible says. It encourages us to do that. That's the experience of the person who wrote this psalm. We don't know their specific circumstances, but they too, and Halle read it brilliantly, you could feel the rawness of what the heart melting with like wax. I'm just gone. I'm spent. I'm empty. I'm angry. I'm confused. I'm all of it, and pouring it out to God. Actually, when the fire happened, what happened next was something of people at their best. The community coming together, as we've remembered, the community coming together as it will do today throughout the day. And people supporting and people being there for each other and doing whatever they could. The person who wrote this psalm, if you look down, if you've got it open, experienced the opposite. Going through this agony in verse 7, what does he get in response? Silence from heaven and mockery and insults from the people around him. Look at you. He feels worthless and defeated like a worm, he says, not a human. Like a worm, he says. You brought me out the womb. You made me trust in you. He says, even at my mother's breast. But then, well, he feels, well, totally without hope. Doesn't even feel human. He's wrestling with God, and that's what we're encouraged to do by this psalm. But he does remember, and this is the verse I just brought up. He remembers that actually God is the one who gave him everything he has. God is the one who brought him into being. God feels a million miles away, but God is the right person to go to. God is the one who has brought him out of his into existence in the first place. God is the one who gives him everything he has. And this is the choice in lament. When we feel that agony, when we feel that loss, we have a choice. Do we harden our hearts and put a blank towards God? Or do we go to God and pour it all out? And that's what this psalm is saying. Let's do that. Let's bring it all the pain. And so that's the big invitation this morning. When life hurts, when we are carrying scars, as we are heavy today, pour it all out to God. Trusting, well, and this is the thing. I realize that to do that, you have to be willing to trust that there is a God, and you have to be willing to trust that God might be good. And so a God who cares. And that's the thing, because suffering, when it happens to us, it squashes that, it tramples that, it feels the opposite to that. And so I want to offer to you what I mentioned to this young guy I met in the week, that there is one place we can look where we know that there is a God, and a God who cares, and a God who is good. And that is when we look to his own son, Jesus, dying on a cross, we see something unique in the history of the world. We see something wonderful, even in the deepest darkness, even in the greatest pain. That Jesus, the Son of God, dying God-forsaken, shows us that there is hope in a suffering world. You see, many people have felt God-forsaken in this life, the person who wrote this, like they were going through hell, but one person has literally done that. What Jesus went through on the cross as he hung there, he cried out in his own language, in a loud voice, Eloi, Eloi, lama sabachthani, quoting this psalm. He cried out, my God, why have you forsaken me? Despite being the one who had always been so close to God, so perfectly close to God throughout the whole of his life. And so whatever we go through in life, even in the darkest places, I'm told even in the war zone that there is still some humanity left, camaraderie between the soldiers, a letter from home, a square of chocolate in the rations. Even in the darkest places, all of us still experience something of the goodness of God, something of the good things that God gives us in this life. And those things can ground us, those things can bring us a bit of comfort even in despair. But as we remembered earlier when we confessed at the beginning of the service, we live in God's world enjoying all these good things, but often saying, great, I'm going to enjoy these good things, I'm going to really live life to the full, but I'm not really going to involve you, God, in my life. I'm going to ignore you. We call it doing our own thing, minding our own business, but that's actually how we live towards God. I don't know whether you've had people treat you like that. I certainly have, not least in my role. They want something from me. And so, and we'll have people this, they want what you can give, they want what you do, they want something from you, but they don't want to know you, they don't want to relate to you, and once they've got what they want from you, you don't hear from them again until the next time they want what you've got to offer. And that's what sin is. Sin is to reject relating to God and just say, great, I'm going to grab all I can get. But I want my life to be separate from God. And hell is God giving us what we've asked for, being separate from him. And that's why it's so terrible. But the message here, as we think about Jesus' own words, as we think about his cry, his lament, from the cross is that he took it. He took it all. He took your sin, my sin. He took the sin of the world and he took it. He took responsibility for it, and he was God-forsaken, literally in hell, as he died. So that there could be a reversal of the verdict that would otherwise be due to me and to you on that final day when we stand before God, because Jesus has taken it and taken it all. And this is God's rescue mission for the human race. So we come back to him because someone has taken it in our place and there is nothing more to pay. That is the God who takes our wrongdoing seriously, takes our actions seriously, takes us seriously, but has made a way back for all of us. It shows both the seriousness of sin and the astounding love of God, the unquenchable love of God. Nothing can stop this God from loving you and me. It is such wonderful news. And I know it doesn't answer all the why questions. It doesn't even scratch the surface of the why questions. The why has it happened? The why me? Why do bad things happen to really nice people we love? Why has this happened? It doesn't answer those questions. We've got to leave those with God. Well, actually, no, we've not got to leave those with God. We've got to, in Psalm 22 ways, go to God with all of that and maybe shout at him and scream at him. He can cope with that and bring it all. Because God on a cross, the very highest, coming down into the deepest darkness to lift you and me into his eternal light, shows that there is a good God that we can trust and that loves us and that will listen to us and that isn't afraid for us to go to him with everything we're feeling at any time. It may be today that you used to believe in God when you were younger. You used to be maybe involved in a church. But something happened 9 years ago, another point in life, many years ago maybe. And actually today, as we talk about these things, as we sing songs about the goodness of God, you feel again the anger and the grief and the pain and the, why God? It's a constant reminder what happened, that you prayed and God didn't answer. And so let me ask the question that I think this invites us to ask. Have you expressed all that? Have you lamented that and got it all out there into the open? And you may say, well, no, Steve, I haven't, because I didn't want to burden anyone else with it, and so I've held on to it. Or I tried to talk to my nearest and dearest about it, and they tried their best to understand, but they didn't really get what I was feeling. Or it may be that, like me, and it's kind of the way I was brought up and kind of the way I've ended up. When stuff happens, I tend to kind of try and take it and just push on through and just sort of, I'll hold it, I'll be fine. And then you get to some kind of limit eventually to our capacity to do that. And the invitation here is to take it all to God. Don't try and just store it up. Pour it out to a God who actually will listen, a God who cares. Do it even though it's raw and unprocessed and it's not polite. And it might involve some shouting and some screaming and some crying out and weeping. But he's the God who made you and loves you. The God who was forsaken for you so that you can come back. The God who in Jesus has felt the agony of utter loss, has gone into that deepest darkness to lift you into his eternal light. So that's Psalm 22. It encourages us to go to God with our pain, to lament, and to lament in hope, because there is a good God at the heart of the universe. So can I encourage you as I end to choose to do that, to choose to go towards God today, wherever you're starting from. And if you feel ready to pour out to him, what you're thinking and feeling today. You don't need to do that on your own. That's why we had a little group that were willing to pray during that song, although the song was a great way to respond and to reflect. The psalm ends with talking about people gathering to actually not only say but to sing, as we've been doing today. And so we've got 2 churches here. There are other great churches in this area. If that is what you're ready for, why don't you gather with others who are seeking this God to know him better? And you'll find there folk that are happy to sit with you and talk with you and pray with you, and happy to share their struggles too. Because none of us are saying we've got the answers, but we are saying there is a God who is good, who we can go to with all that we are, who has shown us in the death of his Son that we can trust him and that he loves us, that it isn't some kind of crazy world which is out of control totally, but rather it's a world full of pain where God is with us in the midst of it all.